Hi, I'm Ray and this is TinyTableGames. Today, it's time to talk about Dice Tower East 2025, coming right up. As you may have seen the video on the Dice Tower channel, they talk about tips for Dice Tower East, and those are all really good. But I thought I'd throw in my 2 bits as somebody who's gone for several years in a row now, just because it's always good to get a different perspective, in this case with somebody who just attends and isn't part of the Dice Tower crew or anything. So let's assume you're staying at the Crib Royale, which is the hotel where Dice Tower East happens. Hopefully you are, because that way you get to maximize your gaming time, because it truly is a 24-hour convention as far as the gaming goes. When you first get into the Crib, you gotta go up a long drive, get up to the check-in thing, go through a standard hotel check-in, which actually happens pretty fast. They're very efficient. You tell them what you're here for, they adjust your parking rate down to the $5 a day instead of the 17 or 35 or whatever it is normally. Which, by the way, is actually pretty low for Orlando, which is a little frightening. But anyway, so you get your key, you get your car pass, and by the way, they do check those, so keep it in your car. You probably won't be using it much, except maybe to make a food run or something, but just keep that in mind. The rooms are all nice. The villas are super nice. It's basically like a DVC room or a long stay room, the villas, where it's got a TV and a stove, and the regular hotel rooms are like a 2-room embassy suite style kind of thing. They're all really great, especially for the price you're paying. There is a couple important things to note, in addition to the room itself. If you haven't noticed that part, happily the Crib's pretty upfront about it, is there is a $100 a day incidentals hold. Now they call it incidentals hold, but be careful, because I got stuck by this the very first time I stayed there, which is, depending on the hotel you go to, they're like, oh, $100 a day hold in case you use it. Like, so I assumed, oh, well, that's great. If I use my room card, it'll go against that 100. If it goes over the 100, then they'll just keep on billing the room. Nope. The 100 is in addition to whatever you put on your room. So if you like go to the pool bar or whatever and get some drinks or whatever, that's not coming out of that daily hold 100. That's going on top of it. So keep that in mind, that they'll be throwing $100 a day hold on your card. For budgeting purpose, I think that's kind of an important detail. So, convention food. Dice Tower East is really good, and the Crib it really works with them. And thanks Sharon if you see her, because she works her tail off through the whole convention, making sure that there's always a million water stations all around the convention areas to go refill your water bottle, you know, or whatever else has a screw cap on it that you can keep from dumping on yourself or others. So no worries about that. Hydration is probably the easiest thing to keep up if you like plain water. A lot of people just like use the free bottled water. You know, it comes in the big gallon things. You got to bring your own bottle to refill it with, and then use like a flavor packet or a Mio or something like that to change the flavor of it as you go. Yeah, you know, I mean, people vary, but at least that's a good way to make sure you stay hydrated, and it doesn't cost you very much. That said, hotel food is decent. It is overpriced because it is hotel food. The convenience factor, though, is pretty high because you don't have to leave the game convention. You do have to leave the game area, though, because nobody likes somebody eating on top of somebody else's board game. There is a designated eating area. Lots of people use it. It's not hard to find. It's like, if it's anything like last year, it's about 25 feet from the dexterity game area, so you'll be able to be entertained by people discovering how inept they truly are at dexterity games while you eat your lunch. That said, it is Orlando, and it's near Disney. So there's about 9 million places to go eat. There's an Indian place across the street that I'm told is really good. Haven't actually been there yet, might do it this year. There is Disney Springs, which I highly recommend. It's like 10 minutes away with bad traffic. The parking is free there. And they have a variety of spend as much as you want, from like Iron Chef Morimoto, his restaurant's there, on down to sandwich shops. And he like Chicken Guy with Guy Fieri, which is very economical and quite tasty. Also, what is the name of that place? I've totally spaced it now. Thank you. There's also Earl of Sandwich, the sub shop, if you've ever seen that one. And trivia note, that's actually the very first Earl of Sandwich that there ever was at Disney Springs. Also, it's Disney Springs, so if you or someone in your family or just somebody wants a Disney-style souvenir, if you go to World of Disney, which is the largest single Disney store in the United States and probably the world at this point, they've got a lot of stuff. You could spend all the money and all the time you ever wanted to down there. Tons of entertainment, tons of things to do, but that's not why you came. You came to game at Dice Tower. Okay, so you're all checked in, probably on Tuesday. You spent Tuesday afternoon gathering rations at the local Publix or scouting out where Taco Bell was, because there's those, and White Castle, Chick-fil-A, you name it. There's a million things down that road. And so we've reached Wednesday, day one of the convention. So everybody piles up out there, everybody's excited, you already got your badge, you're all registered, you're good to go, and the doors aren't open to the exhibit hall / the gaming area. So what's the deal with that? Well, the deal with that is the Orlando Fire Department does an inspection every year just before Dice Tower East starts. The Dice Tower crew try to handle it as best they can, but they have no control over when the municipal authorities decide to show up and inspect things. They're supposed to come out first thing in the morning, and they're usually pretty prompt. But depending on what straw they draw and depending on who actually comes out, the fire marshal can either be helpful and think it's cool and enjoyable, or be concerned about the spacing between the shelves in the gaming area, and how much space is between the shelves in the library area, and if they need to, etc., etc. So, if the doors don't open right away on Wednesday, don't be mad. It's not because they aren't trying, it's because they're waiting for the fire inspection to finish, because it will run up to the very last second. It's happened every year. That's just how it works. If you've ever worked in the hospitality industry, you know what I'm talking about, and that's just how it goes. So be patient. Expect it to not open right away, but it will open as soon as they can. It's not because they're incompetent or not doing it right. It's because they're waiting on the fire marshal. And until the fire marshal gives the go-ahead, the hotel isn't going to authorize them to unlock the doors for insurance purposes. That's just how it is. So, that said, checking out games, once the doors are open and you head in there, there's a lot of choices. The exhibitor hall is apparently going to be open on Wednesday. Usually it's not open until the second day, Thursday. But Tom said in that video recently that for whatever reason, the spot where they have the exhibitors is going to be forced out early on Sunday. So they had to open it a day early to kind of shift the difference. So the exhibitor booths are always really cool. All Play usually has a huge area with lots of standees where you can play games, demo games, all that kind of thing. Van Ryder's pretty much always there, and they're really cool. I mean, you can demo more games than you would expect for a fairly small convention, to be honest. And buy many different things, try new games. A surprising number of, like I said, developers or new games or prototypes show up. So you can get quite a few interesting new game looks at the convention if you keep your eyes open. That said, if you go to the library to check something out, don't be worried about it. The library volunteer staff is always real friendly. It's easy to work with. Your ID badge is also your library card. They will scan your ID badge. They will scan the game you checked out, and that's it. And then when you're done with it, you bring it back to the side that says return games here, and another friendly volunteer librarian will scan your badge again, scan your game again, and you're done. And then you can go check out your next game. It's just that simple. The gaming library checkouts are only open till 1 a.m. every night, which sounds crazy because the convention hall never actually closes. But the people who are running the library do occasionally need sleep. Thank you very much. And so between 1 a.m. and like 7 a.m., I'm going to say, I don't remember exactly when the first shift starts because I'm working late shifts, if you didn't know. It's the gaming library is closed. They kind of either will lock the door if it's in its own space, or they just do the Disney thing where they pull a bunch of stuff around it and kind of, circle the wagons. So that said, make sure if you are planning on playing a significant late night game and you're checking out of the library, check it out by 12:59 p.m. Roughly, so that you can check it out. And then when you're done playing it, if the library's closed, you just put it on the return table and we'll check it in when we get back in the morning. So don't have to worry about that. You don't have to return your game by 1 a.m. You just have to check out your last game for the night by 1 a.m. So there's that. So enjoy. It's a blast. There's a zillion different games to play. It's a lot of fun. That said, the next big thing is people. Now, a lot of people have been there before and they'll say, oh, the flag system, which I thought was kind of weird the first time. It's like, okay, green flag at the table means they're looking for players. That's pretty cool. Yellow flag, which you don't see as much, is looking for someone to explain the game to us so we don't have to read 32 pages of rules in an effort to get through this game and get more games done faster. Personally, I say if there's a game you really want to play that you haven't played yet, make sure you download the rules to your phone before the convention. For two reasons. One, you can preview it and get an idea of how the game works in your head. And two, the Wi-Fi is not great depending on your carrier there and general cell service. Why is cell service not great there? Well, I'll tell you. One is because the convention charges way too much for Wi-Fi, so we don't get it. That's just how it is. It's too expensive. Second is the cell service around there also services Universal Orlando Resorts and Disney. And as you can imagine, the fluctuation in people using their phones in those two areas is significant and puts various loads on the various cell towers. So at various times of day, you can experience really crappy service or pretty good service. In any case, don't hold your breath on being able to live stream from it, at least not from the convention hall, plus the walls are kind of thick, and the AC is very cold. Do not underestimate how cold that AC is. During the day, it'll feel fine because it's 1,000,000 degrees outside and there's a lot of people in there, so they got to really keep it rolling to keep it from being uncomfortable. But at night, when most people leave the convention hall about 2 a.m. and it's not unbearably hot outside, it will still be hot, just not unbearably hot. It can feel icy in there. So if you're playing late night games, make sure you bring a sweater or a pullover or something, because you're gonna need it more than you think. Okay, now to talk about a few of the various things that go on during the convention. Let's talk about the Dexterity Games area. That's actually outside the games library and main convention hall area. It's like generally out in the hallway. At least it always has been. I don't know if they've changed it. I know they've expanded their footprint for this year, so I don't know if they're pulling it into one of the rooms or if it'll still be in the hallway. Assuming it's still in the hallway, it's pretty entertaining. They're very large generally, excuse me, and you've seen a lot of them if you've watched any of the Dice Tower stuff where they do those weird games like the ping pong ball with a little paddle and you try to whirl it around the thing and score a point, or all sorts of disc games and pitch card and stuff like that. They're pretty neat. A lot of the kids are always entertained by them. A lot of the adults, when it's like 1 a.m. and your brain's fried from playing like 3 games of viticulture in a row, also enjoy that. There's invariably some guy or group of people playing Twilight Imperium for all of one day, and they'll occasionally take breaks out and go to the dexterity area and basically shake your brain loose for a while and then head back in. Important, lots of bathrooms, so that's not really too much of a pressure item for the convention, happily. But do remember to take breaks, rest, eat, all that. But yeah, the Dexterity Games room is a great way to get your mind reset after a long board game of something that's heavy, and can generally just be entertaining. Then there's the Hot Games room, which if you've watched the other videos, you should have a pretty clear idea how that works. It's basically a smaller convention hall area, excuse me, that has it's going to have SETI and a bunch of other games all pre-set up. All you got to do is look for an open table, defined as one where they haven't started playing yet and there's an open chair, and you sit down. And if another group just finished playing and you're like, oh, this is awkward, now there's nobody there, sit down and start reading the rules. They'll be on the table and the game will be reset by the last people who played it. And I guarantee you, if you're sitting there looking at the rules, someone else is going to show up and want to play with you. Why? Because they're the hot new games and everybody likes to play them. And that's a very efficient way of doing it. There's usually 1 or 2 copies in the library you can check out, but I recommend playing in the Hot Games room if you can, because it's already set up, the rules are already out, and odds are the people who played it just before you are either going to be excited to tell you about how cool it was or not how cool it was. In any case, they just played it, so they may be able to give you a few pointers or speed you through the rules a little bit, or just play again if you don't get a full table and they feel like playing again. So definitely make some time for the Hot Games room. In addition to just the library. So you don't tie yourself down too much, because there's no set schedule to the Hot Games room. It's just whenever a table opens up, go forth and sit. And people will join you. No flags in the Hot Games room. It's just understood. If you're sitting there and there's an open chair, there's a space available. You feel perfectly comfortable and welcome going up and sitting down there. It makes the other people happy, because nobody wants to just sit there and play solo when they're at a game convention. They'd much rather have other people sit down. So do not be afraid to do so. I've only encountered a couple of people who were grumpy in previous Dice Towers, but that was because they were very sick at the same time and they probably shouldn't have been there anyway. But overall, people are great. Sometimes they get a little hangry, but generally they will dial it back, and you'll have a pretty great experience. So don't feel uncomfortable, and I can't emphasize this enough, because everybody goes through this. I've been to many RPG events, like in the old D&D days when they had the Adventurers Guild stuff and all that stuff, and the RPGA, more so than it is now. And it's always awkward if you didn't come with a group of players to sit down and try to bond with a group of RPGers and get ready to actually do a one-off or something at like Gen Con. This is easier than that by miles. Miles and miles easier. Very friendly crowd. It's truly a friendly crowd. So that said, you'll probably sit down next to somebody and go, wow, I can't believe you said that. I can't stand this person. Just breathe, it'll be okay. Okay, there are a couple of special scheduled events. There's the virtual flea market, which is currently ongoing on Board Game Geek. I think the last count there was like over 7,000 items available, which is why we do a virtual flea market for it instead of a physical flea market for it. The physical flea market takes a lot of time, there can't be nearly as much stuff, and it's just a giant pain and chews up a lot of gaming space and a lot of gaming time. So by and large, most of the attendees voted in favor of the virtual flea market because then you already know what you sold, you already know what you bought, you can pre-prep it, and then on Thursday morning, I believe it is, there's a 1 hour glorious exchange of flurry where the people who sold stuff bring it and the people who bought stuff bring their money, cash. Strongly recommend writing your name, your Board Game Geek username, what you bought, who you bought it from, and how much money you're spending on it, and stick it in an envelope, because that is by far the fastest way to do it. Then everybody's going to be holding up their phone with their name on it, or some people make little signs, and you go looking around and it's all chaotic because everybody's trying to sell or exchange 7,000 transactions in 1 hour, which, believe it or not, usually happens. It's not too bad. But it's a little crazy at first until you get the hang of it. But if you come prepared and you have envelopes and you just start making your way around and looking for the people, you go, aha, I recognize you, I owe you this one, and you owe me these games. And then that person will go, fantastic. And they'll pull out their little checklist or whatever, probably, and hand you the games, and you hand them the envelopes, and off you go. If you bought a lot of stuff or you bought too much stuff, which is also usually generally defined as a lot of stuff, and in my case, I have bought too much stuff this year already, then hopefully you have a companion who can act as an anchor point while one person explores and the other person stands in place and acts like an outpost for people going, are you that person? I bought this game from you. And then the other person who's running around paying for the games they already bought runs back and tosses it in the wagon or in the convenient lap of the person that came with you to do that. So if you can bring a second person for that part, it does make it go faster. If you haven't, well, bring a big bag or something if you bought a lot of stuff, what can I tell you? But it's glorious fun. It's a lot more entertaining than it sounds like. Definitely check out the link on Board Game Geek under the Dice Tower East convention. It is amazing how much stuff's in there. Some of it for amazingly good deals, some of it for less good deals, but like any convention, that's how it goes. The second big sell event is the Dice Tower Flea Market. On Friday mornings, the Dice Tower crew if you've looked at their new studio tour video, there we go. In one of the early ones, they showed they had all these boxes of games crated up. Those are the ones they're going to unload at the event. And I do mean unload. How it usually works is people start lining up early so they can get first dibs, because you don't know what's going to be in there. As Tom says, some games are really good that are in there, and some games are awful that are in there. That is true. I have seen both. But if there's something you really want, you can get a really good deal on it at the flea market. So if you feel like that, and if you didn't blow your entire discretionary budget at the virtual flea market the day before, you can line up for that and go check it out. Now, if you're not interested in waking up at like, I don't know, 5:30, 6 a.m. to go get in line down there, I know I'm not exaggerating, to get early cut at it, then show up a little bit later. The line will be down, but you'll obviously have less selection like any flea market that you might attend in your local neighborhood. The upside is, if not everything sells on the first sweep, then there's usually a round two. So they don't plan on taking anything back with them. They'd really like for everyone to buy everything so they can get rid of it. That's the whole point they brought it. So what they'll do is at least in the previous years, they've let everybody do a big sweep through. You know, they'll clear the whole line, everybody gets in, goes through a transaction, then exits out. You go in one door and exit out the other door to kind of keep the flow going. And then they'll cut the line, make sure the last people who are in the line get through. Then they'll close the doors, kind of condense the thing again, if necessary, clear off move the empty tables, etc. And then do a second round with even lower prices than the first round. So what's the pros and cons? Pros is even cheaper prices. The cons are the game you really wanted in the first round might not be there anymore. But I, in the past, have used the first round to go through there and look for what I want and cross my fingers it'd be there on the second round. And in some cases it was, and I got it for a really cheap price. And in some cases it wasn't, which, good for somebody who got a game they really wanted. So in any case, I strongly recommend participating in both, or at least taking a look at the Board Game Geek website, because you can find some cool deals, especially as it gets closer to the event and people start dropping their prices more and more and more. And there you go. That's about it. Remember to get sleep. Remember to eat, drink water or other fluids. Stay hydrated because it is hot. in Florida. And enjoy yourself. Have a great time. It's probably one of the best gaming conventions around, in my opinion, as far as actually being able to play games. That never happens at like MegaCon or even Gen Con. Lots of previews, you can buy stuff, you can look around at the different booths, but you don't actually play that many games. This convention is a hardcore sit down, play those games. You got a giant Call of Cthulhu game that you like, that you have every miniature that was ever made for it, and you've never had a chance to do it. This is the game convention, you pull all that out and set it up. Wonderland Wars, a lot of games that gets played because it takes hours and hours to get all the way through it, from setup to teardown, and that's just how it goes. This is the convention for that kind of thing, or just lots of light games. Somebody's always playing Queen's Gambit, the old Star Wars game, because that is an amazing game, and I regret selling my copy way back in the day because I thought they'd reprint it, but they never did, so in general, just enjoy yourselves. I hope this video has been helpful. I am Ray, this has been Tiny Table Games, and I'll see you at the convention.